Hello, and welcome to Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Woo! The days of when you'd be like, yes, it's Friday, and you'd be so ecstatic and happy that it's Friday. So kids have gone back to school. This is their first celebration of a Friday coming in, and through this chat. Oh, I don't know. Somebody's sending me stuff or another way. Anyways, I'll read it later. So welcome. I am so perplexed. It's not, I mean, astrologically, yes, we do have that Mars opposition still. There is a trine over to the nodes. There is a little bit, I think some things aren't really in our peripheral. Like you can't really, hey Corey, thank you. Good morning to you, love. In our peripheral, like you can't, like, some things are there, but you're just not too sure. I was having a discussion with my lovely husband today, where the thing, my husband, he's a man's man. He's going to say what he's going to say, and sometimes it comes off very rough and gruff, and sometimes people, it's he can come off a lot, but it's who he is. And we were talking about, and I was saying to him about, something I mentioned a few years ago about the United States and about Great Britain, and some of the things that because I watch the stock market, not that I know anything about it, but I like to watch it and see what the trends are. And my theory and what I feel is one of the reasons why Britain left the EU. One, they wanted to have their own independence, and they were okay. Great Britain was an empire, right? Here's the Queen, here's the empire. We are the rulers of whatever, right? And being this empire, being in the EU, they weren't the empire anymore. They weren't that powerhouse per se. So breaking off from the EU, and plus they wanted to keep their British sterling. Now the British sterling is still trades very, very high. And then the American, and the US dollar still, I mean, they're keeping that up really high. The other thing is that, as we were talking, my husband was mentioning that a lot of wealthy people from the United States have gone over to the UK and have invested in properties and in manor houses and castles and things like that. Many of them also bought a lot of properties outside of New Zealand and in around different parts of Australia too, without being, I mean, they can still come and go and out of the country, just an FYI. They are not they're not having to have the special passport or anything to do or pass through anything. They're able to come and go, very much like how royalty are. So when royalty comes into, say, Canada, say the Queen decides to come over, or even when Prince Henry came, he could fly into any country, no questions asked. Like, he can fly in. He doesn't have to go through customs. He doesn't have to go through anything. There's a special airport for him that he goes into, his private jet, and off he goes. So the other part, I was off on a tangent here. The other part I was looking at is because Pluto is going to be conjunct next February. So we have Pluto having that conjunction with the United States on their natal chart. And what does that mean? Well, a lot of times when we look at it, we see that when there is a Pluto conjunction, which happens every 250 years, is that there's usually a change in power. We usually see, and especially when it comes to a nation, something deteriorates. So there's a deterioration within the country. And just throwing it out there as a metaphor, or maybe as a conspiracy or whatever, but what I've been seeing and what I've been feeling is, are they wanting to join back together? Is there something there through all of the craziness and all of the other shit that's going on, to go back because it's like, yeah, like here in Calgary, we got like 157 mayors running for mayor. Like, what the fuck? That was the last count. That was only a couple days ago I saw. It was 200. And then I guess quite a few, about 50 dropped out. So there is this, is there care or concern for the parliament or who's in charge, or is there concern about the little laws that are going on? Because I think there's something greater, of course, going on, but I think there's something happening between the United States and Great Britain, and something to do with power or joint of power. Just throwing that out there. Just throwing it out there. The other thing that I noticed, which I found very interesting, is when any nation or when anything is coming crumbling down, the lines, and this has happened in the Greek and in the Roman and in many other, where lines are, the line between the feminine and the masculine get blurred, where there is becoming no more distinction between a feminine and the masculine, and they begin to get blurred. And that's where you start to see the crumbling of a society, and the society starting to crumble. So these are some things I'm just putting out there, just putting these little tidbits in your brain just to start to look at and pay attention to. Because there is something with humans and being human beings upon this earth walk, that there are lines, and when they get crossed too much, when a line gets crossed too much, what happens? When we push into something too far to alter it, what happens? And that's where we're at right now. We're pushing boundaries that shouldn't be pushed, boundaries that are being crossed that maybe shouldn't be crossed. We are coming into a time where things or societies are dismantling, and the illusion is when we believe, or when we're hanging on to them. The belief of when we're hanging on to that, this is the truth, yet that isn't the truth. That's the illusion. We believe, or we're putting all of this trust that they're going to save us. This is going to save us. This is the way. This is what's going to happen. Yet we forget about our own selves and our own sovereignty, and the directions that we need to go into, the directions that we need as we follow the divine as divine beings, because we are all that aspect of God. We are all that of gods within our own selves. We create our own realities. We create what we solely want and desire. We create it, whether we like it or not. We are 100% responsible. But here we are starting to see energies starting to move in different directions, and sometimes within those energies, just one second, Mateus, what did Mama say? No playing with the dog? That's right. Go find something else to do. I can't watch YouTube, right? No. Okay. You want to go and play with her, but you got to watch the poop. There's a lot of poop in the backyard. Sorry. The everyday people. And what is it that we are wanting to create? Because boundaries are being crossed in all different areas. And when those boundaries are being crossed, we begin to forget about our divine feminine and the divine masculine. And especially when it comes to the divine masculine, we feel it's too much, too strong, too this, too that. We don't want that. And then we have many women, I seem to kind of be going all over the place, but there's so many thoughts going through my head today. But then we have these that, yeah, you want to be strong, but there's a message when when we want to set out. Do you know the message, I'm, hot for you, I'm hot for you? That comes from the Victorian age when women had fans. And when a man that they liked, they would actually really fan themselves quite a bit. Ooh, I like you, or if they didn't like them, they would stop the fanning. So that is meaning a hot for you. They would make these pursuits. When a rose wants the bee to come and fertilize them, the rose opens up to that bee. It allows for that invitation. And I think there's this energy that we have come. Again, we're crossing lines. We push things so far to one side that the pendulum has to come back to that divine masculine to bring it into that centered piece where you can have that strength and that courage within the man and that softness and love within the woman. And the many times we forget that. And when we can come into that energy, then what happens is we can be coming into a harmonious way of being. We're not there yet. We got a long ways to go. We got a long ways to go because there's so many other players at play right now that is trying to dismantle that of all of our society. And does it need to be dismantled? Yeah, there's definitely that Saturn square Uranus is saying yes, it does. But what is that newness that we want to bring in? What is that new way we want? What is that energy that we want to bring forth into a new world? And that's where we're at. Right now, there is such force and hatred towards, either you get the jab or you don't get the jab. That's a huge one right now. There were doctors walking out in Florida saying, I'm not going to work on anybody who hasn't been jabbed, which this whole time they have been, just like craziness. So we're seeing this division and dismantling happening. But as the divine shows us, we have ways of doing it. We can do it in a harsh, horrific way. Or can we go into a way that is more gentler, kinder way? Because there is a backdrop, and behind that backdrop, there is an energy or people or entities working there to dismantle this all. And the one thing I have is to be the truth of who you are. And many times that's very difficult in this world because it's difficult to say the things that you want to say. Many times people get very angry at the things I say because they don't like what I say. I've revealed too much truth for them. It's overwhelming for them, and they just don't want to see the truth in it all, which is fine. I mean, I've been called a bitch before. I don't mind being called a bitch. I've had people get angry and yell at me many times. Trust me, I have a lot of Scorpio. So when people get angry at me, I'm just like, yeah, okay. God bless you. But this is where we're starting to see there's many different energies, many different plays that are going on. But one of the ones that are at the core for our humanity is the masculine and the feminine. That's the core to our whole humanity. And when we push too far from one to one side or the other, there's a dismantlement. And here we have to come back to a center that brings in that divine feminine and that divine masculine. And the divine masculine is that of strong. The divine masculine is one who wants to take care of. He's the one who will open the door. He's the chivalrous one. Yet we come to a point where, like, I can open up my own door. I could do my own thing. And you're just like, really? So you come to this energy of division. And then that division goes in many other ways. It feeds out. It's like that pebble in the pond. It feeds out in different directions and causes more of a dismantlement. And when we can come back into the hearth, because Vesta is conjunct Venus today in Libra. Vesta is the home. She's the heart. She's the one that in all homes in Rome and even in Greece, she was adored. She was set up to bring in that hearth and that family and that togetherness. That's what Vesta is. She brings in that beauty and that divinity. And when she's conjunct with Venus, opposite Lilith, God help us, who is like, "Oh, I'm going to do it my way. I'm not going to have anybody tell me what the fuck to do." But the two of them come in and say, we have another way of doing it. We have a way that can come in and that we can make these changes. But we got to stand within our divinity, our divineness, and allow for that light to shine. Yes, I can see things happening between the United States and Great Britain. There's a dismantling there in the United States. We're seeing it before our eyes. There's a dismantlement happening here in Canada and a great division that's going to be happening in Canada. And we're going to be seeing that over the next several years. And the divide is going to get deeper. And this is where many who are wanting to be the truth of who they are don't want to be told that you have to do it this way or it's the highway. It's like, I will take the highway. So much of this last year, many of the planets have been out of bounds, out of bounds, out of bounds, out of bounds. And that was for us to take a look at things in an alternate way, to take a look at a different view of the world and not always stay on the mainstream. We had the beginning of the year where all the planets were forward. We're saying, make your choices. Let's go forward. The energies were coming in and saying, let's go forward. Now we have what? Six planets retrograde. And then we're going to have Mercury go retrograde. So we have this energy that says, okay, now we got to review, revise, and relook at everything. Is this the direction you want to go into? It's bringing up all the past, all the things we don't want, and causing disruptions within our own lives. Is that where you want to go? So we've got to come back into that divinity, into our divineness, and that both in that feminine and that masculine. And hold that truth, hold that beauty that you are as a woman, and hold that strength that you are as a man. And allow yourself to say, okay, that's not the direction I want. Many of the TikTok and Instagrammers that I watch that are masculine, very, the men that I watch, they're very like, here we are. We're fighting for this. And they're coming out and fighting for this. They get banned quite a bit, or they get pulled because they're just too much. That's too much. But it's what we have to hear. We have to hear that message. Sometimes it sounds too rough for us. It sounds too vulgar for us. Yet it's something that has to be said because the truth has to come out. And this is, and it started, and I said to a few other people, it's now begun. It has now begun. The craziness is going to just get crazier. When, I got information about, New Brunswick and everything being closed down, then I got Drumheller had the same problems and disruptions within their cell phone and things like that. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, it's starting. We're going to see a lot of little things like that. People aren't going to think anything of it. It's just like, oh, it's just over there. Oh, it's just over there. Oh, that's nothing. But this is where we got to come in. When you come into your divineness, when you come into that, your intuition just sparks. And you start to really see, and you start to really feel, oh, this isn't right. Or, oh, okay, this is right. because you're being led in a direction that is your truth. And you're being led in a direction that is unveiling for you new ways of being. And that's where we're heading, into the new ways of being, into this obisque, into this energy, into this place apart that we've never been before. And we're on this discovery. And in that discovery, we're asking, we need you to be in your truth. We need you to be in your light. And we want to hear you, even though we don't like what you say. We may not agree with what you say, but I want you to sit down at the table with me so we can break bread together. The breaking of bread isn't just with Jesus. It goes way back to the pagans, to even, to the ancient ones. When you come and you break bread, you sit around the table and we eat. We eat together so that we can understand one another, so we can grow. That's where the divine wants us to go. But the division comes down and the cracks come in. And people get scared. They don't want to say anything. But when you see things and you start looking at history, and this is the other part what I love about astrology, you look at history and you look at certain timelines and you start to see things. And it was pointed out to me about the Venus. With Venus played a big role with the Mayan calendar. Venus, that divine feminine in the star, played a huge role. She was in her divineness. She was in her divinity. She loves, Venus, man, she loves to be loved. She loves to have the sweetness of life. She wants that. She doesn't want to be denied that. That's why she doesn't like Virgo. Virgo is the feminine side, but she's the virgin. She doesn't need anyone. That's what the virgin is. The virgin is, I am who I am. I am going to do what I need to do. I stand in my strength and my own self. That's part of the Virgo. Venus is like, yeah, but I want someone here to help me. I want to have people around me. That's why she rules Taurus and Libra. And bringing in that energy. So when we had this energy where they followed, plus you could follow her in the star, and she always moves in the same way. They know exactly where she is going to be. And you could plot her very easily. So with that divine feminine, with that Venus, the calendar ended on December 21st, 2012, the Mayan calendar. That was showing you that this world has ended. And that was the last year we had a Venus eclipse, where we saw the sun burning off part of Venus. It happened in 2004 and it happened in 2012. Between that time, between 2004 and 2012, was a time for us to really get things together. Where are we going to go? What's going to happen? And in that time, with the way it goes and how the chart looked, is that this energy of the Venus eclipses between 2004 and 2012 fell over China and Australia. The eclipse of that time, and highlighted specifically over around Wuhan and around where Australia is being locked down now. Can't make that shit up. This is opening up. This is our eyes being awoken and saying, okay, transformation and change has to happen. How are we, because things are dismantling, going to create something that's new? What does that look like? What does that feel like? How are we going to be a part of that foundation within our own selves, within our families, creating this newness and creating this energy and allowing ourselves to be within that divine feminine and the divine masculine, allowing that to shine and not dismantling that of the feminine or dismantling that of the masculine, allowing it to shine totally within its divinity, within its light, Because when we don't, that's when more chaos happens. That's where more lines are divided. That's when the cracks come in and many people fall between them. So we are now heading into this new energy and this new moon on Monday in Virgo that is bringing in this divinity for us and having us come back to the heart and come back to our hearth, Vesta, to create this newness for us all. We're on a big ride now, people, and we're on the mothership. The mothership is here. How are you going to create it? Because this is creating for the next 7 generations. And how that's going to look for the next 7 generations. So, a lot of power coming in. Sending you off on a fabulous weekend. If you are wanting to get a new moon reading, they're $25. So you can e-transfer me, the egurumama@gmail.com or paypal.me/thegurumama. So if you are wanting to get one, you should have it, because as soon as I get off here, I have 4 to do. I'm going to do 4 readings. I can do another about 4 or 5 readings today and have those out for you for the weekend. So let me know if you are wanting to have a new moon reading. Sending you out with so much love and blessings. May the Lord and Lady watch over and bless each and every one of you in all that you say and all that you be and all that you do. Allow your heart to shine and stand in your divinity of who you are, because that's what's going to save us. Blessed be everybody. Bye-bye.